The U.S. Senate is facing one of its most consequential standoffs in recent memory, a looming healthcare cliff that threatens to upend the lives of millions of Americans. As the days tick by, the sense of urgency inside the Capitol grows ever more palpable, with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle feeling the pressure mount. At the heart of the crisis are the enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies, which have helped keep insurance premiums affordable for countless families. These subsidies are set to expire at the end of 2025, and if Congress fails to act, insurance costs could skyrocket, putting coverage out of reach for millions who depend on it. The Senate chamber has become a battleground, paralyzed by deep partisan divisions. Urgent votes on rival Democratic and Republican proposals have devolved into political theater, with each side accusing the other of playing games while Americans wait anxiously for answers. The deadlock has left the chamber unable to move forward, and the stakes could not be higher. For low- and middle-income families, these subsidies have been nothing short of a lifeline. They've meant the difference between having access to doctors and medicine, or facing the terrifying prospect of catastrophic medical debt. For many, the subsidies have provided peace of mind, allowing them to focus on their health and their families instead of worrying about how to pay the next bill. The debate raging in the Senate is about far more than just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about real people, families who are trying to make ends meet, parents who want to keep their children healthy, and seniors who rely on affordable care to manage chronic conditions. The outcome will determine whether millions can afford basic care or are forced to make impossible choices between health and financial ruin. Recent failed votes have only deepened the sense of frustration and uncertainty. Instead of working together to find solutions, lawmakers have spent precious time assigning blame, leaving millions of Americans in limbo as the deadline draws closer. The lack of progress has eroded public trust and heightened anxiety across the country. Behind closed doors, lawmakers scramble to find a compromise. Negotiations are tense, with both sides holding firm to their core beliefs about the government's role in healthcare. The fundamental dispute remains unresolved, and every hour that passes without a deal brings the nation closer to a potential crisis. The question now is whether the shared threat of a healthcare crisis will finally force a breakthrough. Will the urgency of the moment be enough to bridge the divide, or will partisan gridlock continue to stand in the way of progress? The clock is ticking, and the stakes couldn't be higher. For millions of Americans, the outcome of this Senate standoff will shape their futures, and the nation's, long after the final vote is cast. Senate Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer, proposed a straightforward 3-year extension of the enhanced ACA subsidies, aiming to prevent a spike in premiums and maintain stability. Their message focused on averting the immediate crisis, not on broader reforms. The bill was clean. No policy riders, just a lifeline for millions. Predictably, it failed to reach the 60-vote threshold, with most Republicans opposing it as fiscally irresponsible. A few Republicans, Murkowski, Collins, and Moreno, crossed the aisle, motivated by the impact on their states, but it wasn't enough. The Democratic plan's defeat closed the door on their preferred solution, highlighting the deep partisan divide. For many, the loss of subsidies would mean losing coverage or facing unaffordable costs. The Senate moved on, but the crisis remained unresolved. The Republican alternative, spearheaded by Senator John Thune, placed a strong emphasis on expanding health savings accounts, or HSAs, as a central pillar of their healthcare proposal. Thune and his colleagues argued that by giving Americans more control over their healthcare dollars, individuals and families could make more informed choices about their medical needs. The plan was designed to encourage personal responsibility and reduce reliance on government programs, shifting the focus toward consumer-driven healthcare. In addition to expanding HSAs, the Republican proposal offered only a limited and temporary extension of existing healthcare subsidies. This meant that while some financial assistance would remain available for a short period, the long-term vision was to gradually phase out these subsidies in favor of private savings and market-based solutions. Supporters of the GOP plan insisted that HSAs would empower consumers, allowing them to save tax-free for medical expenses and shop around for the best care. They believed that increased competition among providers would drive down costs, improve quality, and ultimately make healthcare more affordable for everyone, without the need for heavy government intervention. However, Democrats were quick to criticize the approach, They argued that HSAs primarily benefit higher-income individuals who can afford to set aside money, while doing little for lower-income Americans who depend on subsidies to access basic coverage. For many, the prospect of losing government support was deeply concerning. The Republican plan, rooted in free market principles, was seen by its advocates as a way to foster innovation and personal choice. But to Democrats and their supporters, it represented a step backward, one that could leave the most vulnerable Americans without the safety net they desperately needed. When the proposal finally came to a vote, it failed along party lines, echoing the earlier defeat of the Democratic plan. The deep divisions in the Senate were on full display, with neither side willing to budge from their core beliefs. As the debate dragged on, both parties remained entrenched in their ideological positions. The Senate chamber was filled with frustration and disappointment as lawmakers struggled to find common ground. Despite hours of negotiation, no compromise emerged. The day ended in gridlock, not compromise. For millions of Americans, the uncertainty surrounding their healthcare coverage only deepened, leaving families and patients anxious about what the future might hold. The partisan chasm on healthcare had never been clearer, and the nation was left waiting for a solution that remained out of reach. The Senate's filibuster rule means any solution needs 60 votes, impossible without bipartisan support. With Congress about to leave for recess, time is running out to craft a deal that can pass both chambers. The real obstacle is philosophical. Democrats see healthcare as a right, Republicans as a market service. This divide makes compromise politically risky, so senators stick to party lines rather than negotiate. Messaging votes are safer than real messy deals. The incentive is to blame the other side, not solve the problem. Unless leaders can change this dynamic, gridlock will persist. The deadline looms, and millions await answers. The challenge: can urgency overcome entrenched partisanship? Amid the standoff, a few senators broke ranks. Lisa Murkowski voted for both proposals, signaling frustration with gridlock and a desire for progress. Susan Collins, another moderate Republican, supported the Democratic plan and is working with Bernie Moreno on a 2-year compromise. Their efforts highlight the pressure from constituents and the search for middle ground. Democrat Chris Murphy insists Republicans must lead on a solution, given their control of Congress. Some conservatives, like Bill Cassidy, float using budget reconciliation if bipartisan talks fail, raising the stakes for both sides. The willingness of a few to cross party lines could be key, but the path forward is still uncertain. With both plans defeated, the blame game escalates. Democrats, led by Schumer, say Republicans now own the crisis, having blocked a clean extension. Their strategy pressured GOP senators in swing states by tying them to rising premiums. Republicans, led by Thune, accuse Democrats of political theater and refusing real reform. The GOP frames their stance as fiscal responsibility, demanding changes to the ACA before any extension. Both sides dig in, each blaming the other for the looming crisis. The public is left caught in the crossfire as the Senate stalls. With partisan plans dead, lawmakers scramble for alternatives. A short-term extension, 6 months or a year, is floated as a patch, but Republicans want reforms attached. Hybrid proposals emerge, like Senator Marshall's plan combining a temporary extension with HSA expansions. Collins and Moreno push a 2-year extension as a possible middle ground. Every compromise risks losing support from one side or the other. The 60-vote hurdle remains, making any deal a delicate balancing act. As the deadline nears, pressure mounts for a solution that can win just enough support. The fate of millions hangs on these last-ditch negotiations. As the Senate stalls, attention turns to former President Trump, whose approval could make or break a deal. Many believe no Republican-led solution will pass without his blessing. If Trump endorses a compromise, GOP lawmakers may follow. If he opposes, the deal is likely dead. So far, he's stayed quiet, but his influence looms large. Trump could step in as a dealmaker, or let the crisis unfold for political gain. His decision will shape the outcome, and the future of healthcare for millions. Washington waits for the Trump factor to tip the scales. While senators debate and the cameras focus on Capitol Hill, millions of Americans are left in a state of uncertainty, facing real and immediate consequences that go far beyond the political headlines. If Congress fails to act, enhanced subsidies that have helped keep health insurance affordable for so many will expire on December 31st. That means, starting in January, insurance bills could skyrocket by hundreds or even thousands of dollars per month for families across the country. For many, this isn't just a budget issue. It's a question of whether they can afford to stay covered at all. Families may be forced to make impossible choices, drop their coverage entirely, accept much higher deductibles, or cut back on essential care. The risk of falling into medical debt grows, and some may be left with no insurance at all, just one accident or illness away from financial disaster. Years of progress in reducing the uninsured rate, a hard-won achievement that's protected millions, could vanish almost overnight. The safety net that so many have come to rely on is suddenly at risk of unraveling. The best hope for stability is a last-minute bipartisan patch, most likely a short-term extension of the subsidies, perhaps with a few minor reforms. Lawmakers from both parties are under pressure to find common ground, but time is running out. Some Republicans may try to push through their own plan, using reconciliation, a process that allows for budget-related legislation to pass with a simple majority. But such a move would likely deepen partisan divides and make long-term solutions even harder to achieve. The worst-case scenario? Gridlock prevails, the subsidies vanish, and a full-blown healthcare crisis erupts. For those already living paycheck to paycheck, the loss of affordable coverage could be devastating, forcing painful sacrifices and putting health at risk. The Senate's decisions in the coming days will shape not just the health and finances of millions, but the very fabric of American life. The stakes could not be higher. This isn't just political drama unfolding in Washington, it's about real lives, real families, and real consequences in every corner of the country. As the deadline approaches, the nation waits for answers, hoping that lawmakers will remember the people behind the policies and act before time runs out.